first waiver wire show of the season. Who's been added? Who's been dropped? Were they the correct decisions? What moves should we be making? Or at least considering? Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and water all around, so let's all have a drink. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. We're doing waiver wire stuff today, but obviously huge news just across the sports world and the NBA in general. So we'll start this off. I don't think you're going to need me to tell you this, but if you've got like Terry Rozier on your team,
get that garbage out of here.
Yeah, get him all the way out of here, because Terry Rozier's been arrested as part of the investigation into some dodgy unders from a game when he played for the Hornets, I don't know, a few years ago. Anyway, he's been arrested. Malik Beasley still is tied up into this investigation somewhere as well. People have added Malik Beasley in fantasy leagues. You do not need to do that. He's not a part of this, because the other one, of course, is somehow bigger, because Rozier wasn't playing. He was bad. It's a terrible look, obviously, for him and for things in the league. We know this. This has happened across a few sports recently. It's not great. But Chauncey Billups has also been arrested in conjunction with illegal poker games. The whole Chauncey Billups thing is wild. Like the allegations about the setup and him being used to dupe people out of money as the draw to come and play against him with organized crime connections and x-ray machines and rigged card shuffling decks. It's clearly very bad. What does it do for a fantasy perspective? I don't really think it's anything. Chauncey, I did not want the Blazers to hire Chauncey. I thought that it was a whole sham of a press conference set up when he got hired. Remember the whole drinking water thing, the water bottle thing, when people are asking him about the rape allegations against him in his past. It's like if you drink the water and move on from the question, all that sort of nonsense. I think he's been a bad coach in general. And now this stuff, which apparently had been out there for a while. Now, the Chauncey Billups stuff, there is no allegation against him regarding throwing games or rotations and information regarding sport. It is a separate thing, but there is links to do with the people masterminding the whole thing, poker, sports gambling, that sort of stuff. But we'll see what else comes out. But at the moment, there is no allegation against Chauncey regarding NBA games or anything like that. At the time of me recording this, it's about these illegal poker games that he was involved in basically defrauding people. That's my understanding. That is all obviously really bad. Tiago Splitter is going to take over for Portland as their head coach. He's got a stellar reputation as a coach. He was a pretty good player as well. I'm not sure it's going to mean anything from a fantasy point of view, though. I don't think it automatically means Jeremy Grant starts in the starting lineup or anything like that. Or that Scoot Henderson's going to start playing huge minutes. We will see, but I don't think there's any clear takeaway through that stuff at the moment. But they are the things that have happened, and they do need to be talked about. Let's get into talking about the fantasy basketball waiver wire. Now, we know one of the main things at this time of the year, 2 days in, is not to make panic moves. But we also know, and this can be contradictory, we also know that some of the big moves that are made and the league winners are grabbed in the first week. So how do you decide what to do and what not to do? Well, let's talk about it. I've already heard of crazy overreactions. People have dropped De'Aaron Fox in leagues. What are you doing? Even people saw yesterday's game and said, I'm going to drop Mark Williams. Why? That's silly. Making insane moves is dumb. But there are moves that do make sense at this time of the season, and that's what we're going to go through. So we're going to go through a few ways of looking at this. Let's take a look. Again, we have multiple ways of viewing this. We have the Yahoo transaction trends, which are like last 24 hours. We have the Basketball Monster advanced roster numbers, which we can set specific timeframes, I like to use 48 hours on those to give you a broader range so it doesn't just include streaming ads and things like that. That's what this first list is. The 5 most added players. Number 1 is Davion Mitchell. Makes sense. Davion probably should have been a last round pick. I was okay with him being one of those flyer selections. I didn't buy his shooting from last season. I don't buy his 12 assists from yesterday. And I wasn't even certain that he was going to start, but he did. You grab him everywhere and we readjust when Hero comes back. He might become a drop, but it doesn't matter. For now, you add him. Khris Middleton, the second most added player. Okay. Again, someone that we liked as a flyer in the last rounds. The concern with him is going to be fantasy playoffs. The concern with him is going to be back-to-backs. But he can still play, so use him. The next most added player is Toppin. That is because the Pacers play on Thursday, plus they've got 3 games in 4 nights and have 3 quality games. And I think he's going to get pretty sizable run at center, which will help him. So yeah, he's a strong short-term ad. The next ad is the big cock, Ryan Kalkbrenner, who started for the Hornets. Now, Moussa Diabate was also good in that game. Kalkbrenner was pretty good. He had blocks. He had a double-double. I think it's worth grabbing him. I do think it's going to be messy, and it's going to get messier when Grant Williams returns. But in a positive note, the cockroach Mason Plumlee did not play. So we didn't have that triple-headed nonsense. So even if it is 26-22 Kalkbrenner Diabate, maybe you can use both of them. And I've got no problem with adding them. They do still look to be back-end players. And then Trey Jones, the 5th most added player. And while Kobe White is out, he started over Dosunmu, over Kevin Huerter. Jones is the ad pretty clearly. Very similar to Davion Mitchell, except Davion's probably got a longer runway to be able to put up value. You grab Jones and you go from there. The Yahoo most added players. Again, this is a shorter time frame and some of the roster percentages here are wild. The most added guy, that I didn't want to double them up, but the most added guy was Davion. But the second most added guy is Isaiah Stewart, and that feels very reactive. Now, Stewart was great. 20 and 10 with 4 blocks is fantastic. But he is still a backup center. Jalen Duren played 20 minutes and got into foul trouble. And most nights, Stewart will play 20 minutes. And he also won't have a 20 and 10 double-double because, and I know this is going to hurt a lot of people, when you're going up against Nikola Vucevic, it is actually easier to put up numbers. Because, and again, I know you will get upset, he is terrible on defense. Yeah? We're good with that? So, Stewart, that is reactive. That is chasing what just happened. If you're in a 14-team league, go for it. Right? Whatever. He's fine there. And he's okay as a stream guy, but as the most added guy, not really. The next one I wanted to highlight, because obviously you add VJ Edgecombe, even if we have doubts. Does he play 42 minutes a night? No. Does he take 26 shots a night? 24 shots a night? Probably not. Is he a 50% shooter from the line? Also probably not. That probably jumps up. Is his overall efficiency going to be as good as it was? Also probably not. What happens when Jared McCain and Paul George return? I don't know. What happens when Embiid doesn't shoot 11% and he looks terrible? Whatever. Will Edgecombe have another game as good as this all season? Also, probably not. But it doesn't matter. You add him. The thing that's interesting to me is that I thought, and this is pretty indicative to me, I thought that everyone would have just gone hard here on the dominatrix. He's 49% rostered on Yahoo. I know he's the second most added player, but 49? What is everyone doing? All these fake high score leagues that people were automatically added into, is that accounting for 50% of leagues? Because he should be at least 70% here. At least 70, if not 80 or 90. Him, VJ Edgecombe, sitting at 49% is crazy work. It's crazy. So, let's watch where that goes. The next most added player is, we're going to Washington again. We talked about Middleton before, but it's Kyshawn George. And yeah, Kyshawn should be rostered. He's only at 30% on Yahoo. I do think he could be a full-time starter. I'm not sure that Bilal gets the spot back. You do have to worry about his poor percentages, but there's an argument to be made. He's their best young player. You can still got Alex Sarr in there, and there's Trey Johnson, we'll see. But pretty sure he's better than Bub. Pretty sure he's better than Bilal. Some blocks, good minutes, solid usage, some assists, some steals. And we'll see where the shooting goes. The next 2 most added guys on Yahoo. One of them was AJ Mitchell. That is largely streaming related and with doubts around Dort and Wallace and Caruso out. So that's good as an ad there. And the next one is Rugged Ronnie Holland II, which he was awesome. I think that there is a chance with Jaden Ivey out, he plays 27 a night. I thought he looked really good. He looked better than Karis LeVert, obviously. Now, they're still going to start Duncan Robinson. So there is a little bit of a cap on what Holland can do. But if I'm in 14s, very simple ad for Ron. And in 12s, I think we consider it. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the most dropped players and whether those moves make sense. We'll get to that in a sec. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win. Not just on game day, but every day. Locking in on every opening. Beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, and take advantage of new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that is robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's episode is also brought to you by the big fellas, the legends over at DoorDash. The NBA season is here, and DoorDash is here to give you a perfect way to keep you in your bag all season long. So when you're watching for the highlights or for your fantasy team or it's just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the bag drop. The bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points, it's not they swoosh, you save anymore. It's the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. And you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. Player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff that you'll actually want. So next time someone goes off for 50, who's going to be the first player to score 50, you reckon? Use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only 50% off up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with the promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to US residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. DoorDash, the GOATs, they're back. All right, let's talk more about the waiver wire here. Let's talk about the dropped players and how much sense that it makes. And for most of them, yeah, there were a lot of guys that I think for most of you, you'll look at and go, yeah, well, no one was rostering him, but they were. So let's talk about on Basketball Monster the 5 most dropped players. Number 1 is Al Horford. We got news from foreseeable future legend Stephen Kerr that Horford will come off the bench again on Friday, so that looks like it's trending to be relatively permanent. So let's just give a blanket jack to all these guys. Sorry, John.
Get that garbage out
To
of
all
here.
these guys, drop him. Chris Boucher is one of the most dropped players. Fine. Boucher is not good as a real-life player. He has had moments of being an elite permanent fantasy guy. That production has dipped. But the fact that he barely played and there's going to be a lot of Missoula jerking going on, that makes it very hard to consider him a must-hold. Now, when we're talking about these guys, do you have to drop them? No. I'll take your individual circumstances into account. But if any of these players are sitting on your roster as your worst guy or second worst guy, don't worry about it. Move on. D'Angelo Russell, pretty easy call. I was very down on him as a draftable player this season. In fact, as the preseason went on, I said, I don't even know that we draft him at all, to be honest. And even though he barely played opening night and Cooper Flagger point guard didn't go particularly well, I don't care. I don't care whether D'Angelo Russell does move back into the starting lineup. Is he good enough to hold on to? No. Will he have some moments where he looks better? Yeah, of course he will. But that doesn't mean that I have to clog up a roster with this bum on it. Chris Paul is one of the most dropped players. Sure, cool. He's not playing. You don't hold him. Easy done. And then Adem Bona. We saw Joel Embiid play 20 minutes, and it was Dominic Barlow who got minutes. Now, Bona is going to have better games. Now, we liked drafting Bona because we weren't sure that Embiid was ready to begin the season. And what we also said is that when Embiid comes back, we don't really know what to do with Bona. Embiid's there. So, get rid of him. If he's not even going to get run when Embiid plays 20 minutes or enough run to matter, then you don't have to hold him. If we see Embiid out for a long, extended period of time, go back and go grab Bona. But for now, I don't think that that's a necessity to do. On Yahoo, who were the most dropped players that we need to look at? Bob Portis. Now, yesterday, we talked about Bob, and I expressed some concerns about Portis in the lead up to the season about if Kuzma is playing backup 4, there is not enough for Portis to do stuff, and that is exactly what happened. Is that just a one-game thing in a revenge game for him against his former team? I don't know. But I do know that Portis needs, like, he's one of these guys, like, when he starts, absolutely. But to maintain any level of relevance as a bench guy, he probably needs 24 minutes. And it doesn't look like that's coming. I don't think that I would have dropped him just yet. Now, I don't believe I drafted him anywhere. But I wouldn't have dropped him after that one game. But if we get the same pattern, which aligns to my prior thinking on it for 2 or 3 more games, done. I am very glad, not for this young man's sake, but very glad that people have woken up that you do not roster young Hunten.
Get that cabbage out of here!
He played 5 minutes. He looked bad. It's going to be the case. I don't think that he's going to be a future NBA star or anything along those lines. People rostering him were out of their absolute minds. Get rid of him. Easy. Most dropped, Eve Misi. Yeah. A, not good at fantasy. B, injured. Easy done. Now, I don't know what the hell their center position is going to be. He's actually questionable for the next game, but whatever. But is it Derek Queen? I don't think he's going to be good enough to add. Is it Hunter Dickinson? Absolutely not. Looney's out. Maybe. If Karlo Makovic is healthy and Misi's out, yeah, easy out on Makovic. I think he could be good. We watch that. Sam Hauser played only 22 minutes last game. I think that he'll get more than that most nights, but this front court is terrible. He's a points and threes streamer that does not need to be held, and then Keon Ellis played 13 minutes. If you're in a points league, you shouldn't even bother with him to begin with. And I would say at the moment, this situation with Sacramento is the best it's going to get because you've got no Sabonis or no Murray. That's 70 minutes out of the lineup. And yeah, they're different positions, and that's why it was always going to be hard, I think, for Ellis to benefit a lot, but he didn't even benefit at all. And again, we can think what we want. Kings fans on Twitter or Kings media or whatever can talk about, well, they need to do more with Keon. But if it's just time after time after time after time of them not valuing him that way, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what Locked On Kings host Matt George thinks or one of the other Kings media or Kings Twitter or Kings Muse or whatever Kings nonsense there is. If the organization and the coach, who's a puppet, the coach thinks the same thing as each other, and that is we don't think that Keon needs to play, then it doesn't matter. So easy drop, I think, for Keon Ellis. It's just not likely to be something that happens there in a positive way for him. So what else do we need to look at waiver wire wise? That's the most added, that's the most dropped. I'm just going to quickly run through some must roster guys. These are players that I have as top 100 rest of season that are sitting below 60% rostered. So just check your league. Tamani Kamara, bang. Drew Holiday, easy. I still believe that Tari Eason should be rostered. Points leagues, it is a little iffier. It was not good opening night for Tari, but I would not make any move to drop him. It could get there, like especially when Dorian Finney-Smith comes back. If he's playing 18 minutes a night, then absolutely you do not hold. But not yet. Dante DiVincenzo was bad opening night. Absolute must-roster player. I don't care. Again, these are all terms that can change. We assess, we judge, and we change our minds when things adjust. But for now, I look at it and go, if Dante's on my wire, easily add everywhere. And then in 4 weeks' time, if he's playing 20 minutes every night only, and they're running Ant as point guard and Terrence Shannon's getting 30, then we change it. I don't think they do that, but I would grab Dante wherever I could. And the last one is Andrew Wiggins. Is he spectacularly good? No. But they're still going to need him. He's going to play big minutes. He's going to provide steal and a block, a little bit of scoring, some rebounds. And he's available. Still, in over 40% of leagues. So go for it. I would. I drafted Wiggins in quite a few spots, and I'm okay with going for him. If he's on your wire, you should be looking at him. Let's take a look at some more waiver wire stuff that we need to pay attention to, and these are droppable players. Now, again, what do we mean by this? I just mean that if these guys are on your roster, and largely you're in a 12-team league, or shallower, you just don't need to have them. I've already gone through the guys who were the most dropped, 10 players over there, and discussed the pros and cons there, but there's another bunch of guys. Brook Lopez played pretty well yesterday. But these are all guys that are sitting over 70% rostered, according to Basketball Monsters' advanced roster number, which is largely a 12-team metric. But 70% of people should not be rostering Brook Lopez. Yeah, he hit some threes yesterday, that's great. I do not want, on my 12-team roster, who's almost assuredly my worst player, an 18 to 20 minute a night backup center who's 36 years old. I don't see the purpose of that. I don't see the purpose of holding on to the future MVP, Kyle Kuzma, who played like under 25 minutes in a strictly bench role, who sucks at percentages and defensive stats and is not going to have high usage. To me, it's not worth it. Why was Klay Thompson drafted? Why was Klay Thompson ranked at 105 on ESPN? What was anybody thinking? This one should never have been touched. And thankfully, in most mock drafts that I did through this preseason process, most people didn't consider him. But apparently, he's still rostered in like 70% of leagues. Klay Thompson does not need to be on a roster. What's he giving you that Sam Merrill or Sam Hauser or Sam Duncan Robinson is not? Well, Robinson gave you nothing yesterday. But, you know what I mean? Like, why are we holding Klay? Because he's banging Megan Thee Stallion, Torrey Craig's mate? Why are we holding him? Colin Sexton does not need to be held on to. Now, he scored well. But if he's going to come off the bench behind the big areola Concanipple, if he's going to be battling Trey Mann, if he's going to play under 25 minutes, it's just no point. Now, Charles Lee said he'll rotate those positions through. They'd be idiotic to rotate Knipple out and put Sexton in. But even if they do, the mere fact that Sexton can be in and out at any point, and he's not a particularly strong fantasy player anyway, means you don't need to hold on to him. And the last one, again, is a little bit more controversial, leans more towards 10s, but Dennis Schroeder is not must roster. So I guess when we say droppable, to me that means not must roster. It means that if you showed me a transaction or a waiver wire and I saw these droppable players on the waiver wire, I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't go, bro, your league's got no idea. Why would you have dropped Dennis Schroeder? I actually makes complete sense. I don't think that Dennis Schroeder needs to be rostered. Now you can. You absolutely can. But this all, again, ties back to one general binding principle of fantasy and the waiver wire. Whoever your worst player is droppable. It's just simply true. Because you are just cycling through for more games, or to hit on a guy who might have 2 weeks of top 50 value, or rest of season value of top 75 or something. Holding on to that last guy, because he might be 110th, he might be fine. Who cares, man? What you can do, even just through streaming that spot, you can turn your last roster spot into a top 100 player through streaming. You can do that. Plus, you're just using it to find the next guy. And if the next guy pops, if the next guy is Davion Mitchell or Kyshawn George or Ryan Kalkbrenner or VJ Edgecombe, that's this potential top 60 rest of season guy, Kalkbrenner's not probably that. Probably not Davion, but they're just names that I'm bringing up. Then you just move on from the Dennis Schroeder, who's like, whatever, man. Like, he's fine. Is he bad? No. But he's fine. And a million Dennis Schroeders are going to pop up during the season. We've got more to talk about, including a bunch of other names that we need to discuss. I think 11 more names we've got. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Rugiet. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. You've heard them before. Stress. Yeah, I'm stressed. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. I was thinking about somebody, I don't use that excuse, but when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs that little bit of extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED, designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments, and if prescribed, your treatment will ship directly straight to your door in discreet little package. Visit Rugiet, rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That is rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use the code LockedOnNBA so that they know that we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That is right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. With FanDuel, you can use it on parlays, same-game parlays, live betting, totals, futures, spreads, straight up. Everything that you could want is there on the FanDuel app. It's easy to use. It's easy to get that bonus bets as well by winning your first $5 bet, and then you're off and running. So what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. And don't, of course, forget to gamble responsibly. we are talking about the fantasy basketball waiver wire. So let's talk about the last few things, the last bunch of names that I've got here to discuss. And with these shows, I'm never going to cover everybody. It's just impossible. I could give you 70 players every time we do this show that are worth at least somewhat discussing. We try and cover as many as makes sense. I've got a bunch of names here that I think are important to talk about. Just for discussions of, hey, do I drop him? Do I add him? Yegor Dioman. Someone left a comment, why is he calling him Yeoman? His name is Demon. It's easy. I'm calling him Yegor Dioman because his name is pronounced Yegor Dioman. Yegor Dioman looked pretty good. He shot the ball really well, which he did not do in college, but he's done at every professional stop, which is very interesting. Maybe BYU wasn't paying enough. Too much soaking, not enough payment. Jorman, though, is still coming back from a foot injury. Jorman came off the bench. I think he will overtake Ben Saraf soon. Is he a must roster? No, absolutely not. Is he okay to consider? Yeah. But he will be a rookie point guard who will have efficiency struggles plus the Traore and Saraf minutes maybe eating in. He's worth considering, and if I mean anything that's deeper than a standard 150 player league, that's what we look at. Maybe that's how I'll start referring to leagues. Instead of 12 team, a 150 player. Because a 12 team is like 156 main roster plus IR, and we can have leagues that are 10 teams with larger rosters, or some people go 16 teams and then go smaller rosters. Maybe I'll try my very best to reference leagues more in player size versus team size. So I think Gelman in a 150 player league is a fringy guy. And if you had Gelman on your roster in a league like that and something hot came up, Davion Mitchell, VJ Edgecombe, then he's an easy drop, meaning that's not a must grab. But he's okay to look at. I think for the short term, Grayson Allen is worth looking at. Like, I think you just should have Grayson Allen on your team right at this point. Very easily add him and go from there. Because he's going to have a big role until Jalen Green returns. Now, I do notice that for some reason I've repeated Isaiah Stewart's name, but it gives me an opportunity to talk about this guy, Ryan Rollins. We don't know how long that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be out, but it sounds like it'll be out a little bit of time. And with Porter out, I expect that Ryan Rollins jumps into the starting lineup. Now, he's only 13% rostered. He should be replacing Kevin Porter Jr. Deeper leagues than the 175 player leagues, you look at Cole Anthony. But 150s, 130s, look at Rollins. He is a master at thievery. He's also very good at getting steals in games, and he got that in that game one. Now, he's not going to be a high usage guy. He'll get some assists, but this should bump values of guys like Gary Trent even as well to get a little bit more usage. Trent's a fringy stream 12-team, 150 player league guy as well. But Rollins is a really interesting guy, I think, to take a look at. Some other names to look at, and I've italicized these names because I think it's more important because the questions are going to be, do we drop them? I'll use the Nikola Jovic name there to talk about Cal Ware as well. Should you hold on to Jovic? Not necessarily. He was a guy that you took a flyer on. I wanted to see, could he make it to be the 110th best guy? Didn't look like it. And Spo lost some confidence in him. So, if you want to move on, do it. But then we go to Ware. Now, I was very, very cautious about Ware. Early in the preseason, before we heard any information, I thought they're going to start him. And that means he's probably a top 90 guy, and I like that. But then as soon as we heard not starting, I went, that's not good. That is absolutely not good because it will limit what they do in terms of playing time. But it went even more extreme than I thought. I thought around 100 made a bit of sense for Ware. At the moment, it looks terrible as a decision. Not as terrible as getting him in the 80s or as in some of the mock drafts in the 50s. But he played literally only the minutes that Bam did not play. Cal Ware that is. So, I will give it one or two more games because the upside is legitimately through the roof. Remember the Dutch writing of this man in preseason for Ware? Crazy stuff. If he's playing 14 minutes a night, you cannot hold that. But you need to see a couple more just to make sure that is what is going on. I think with Zachary Rissochet, I'll give it one or two more. But also, if I'm in a desperation stake and he is my worst player, get out of here, my guy. I don't need you here. Quinn Snyder does not like playing in big minutes. Didn't play in big minutes in a game that Dyson Daniels barely played. He didn't do anything apart from scoring. Now, he looks better. He looks stronger. And maybe the other stuff comes, but it's going to be inconsistency. But all of it doesn't matter if Snyder doesn't give him 30. So he's on the chopping block. And then after opening night, a lot of people were very interested in dropping Reed Shepherd. Now, the Rockets are starting Steven Adams again on Friday. So we get another data point. Reed, I don't think could be a top 60 player or a top 50 player. Never thought he could. I took him around that 100, 110 marks. It was hard to get point guards, and his defensive stats, they carry over. Let's see what happens. Does he look better in Game 2? Because he didn't look good in Game 1. How does he go against a Golden State team versus against the Thunder team, which is one of the best defensive teams we've ever seen? And that'll give us more information. So I'm holding Reed, Jovic and Ricochet, borderline, and Ware is a hold, but it is trending poorly. And then some other names that we want to talk about here. Don Barlow. I think that while Paul George is out, I think that's worth looking at. You know that on this show, we've been a big Don Barlow guy for a long time. And I didn't expect this to happen. I did talk about it in the preseason, say, hey, he might start and be a useful stream of PG. But then they started Boner at power forward in the last preseason. I went, okay, maybe not. But he played at center in this game as well. I don't mind a stream of him. Santi Aldama. Yeah, bro, like if he's not playing when Zach Edey's not there, he's not good enough in general. He probably needs Jaren out. If you wanted to move on, do it. I put Mark Williams' name here because people have asked me, and people have told me they've dropped Mark Williams. Stop it. He played 24 minutes. He closed the game. It was fine. It's not ideal, but very clearly a must roster. Dylan Brooks, 1 million usage percentages. That's not how that phrase works, but whatever. In a points league, you go for it. Go for it, right? At least until Green is back. In a category league, I'm not 100% against it. I don't love it, but I'm not 100% against it. People will be asking about Jeremy Grant as well. Jeremy Grant will not shoot like that. And if he's getting 27 minutes a night, he is not going to be doing enough. Now, of course, it's not harmful to take a flyer if you want to. There are plenty of other guys I would prefer over Jeremy, but he's not a priority to me. But if you want to get deeper, if you want to go 175-man league, a 200-man league, Cedric Coward. He will not shoot like he did in Game 1. But Vince Williams was hurt and didn't look very good. Santi Aldama looks terrible. Coward looks good. Gigi Jackson is actually not good at all. There's no Jerome. There's no Pippen forever. Not that they play the same position. But Coward's got an ability to steal and block and rebound and score. I do think that there is an outside shot that we get to talking about Coward in 150-player leagues. At the moment, it's just a deeper league look. But it's there. And that, legends, is a waiver wire show. If you have a name that I didn't mention that you want to ask about ads or drops, go ahead. But like I said, I can't cover everybody. That is like, I think it's about 40 names that we went through there. I could easily do 70 of them. But, yeah, none of us have that amount of time. Hit the thumb, double bang, leave your comments. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Oh yeah, by the way, Bradley Beal might be able to be dropped. We'll wait. See ya.